Hi there, and welcome back to the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast. I'm Ryan Burr, joined as always by the founder of the Junior Golf Hub, Roger Nick. Roger, obviously, you and I recording this Friday of the Masters. I've been on the ground since getting home late last night after I went to round one. I will tell you this, I've never seen that golf course this dried out. Of course, they have complete control, speaking of Augusta National, so they could do whatever they want with it because of their technology. But if they let this thing get where it's going just from Mother Nature, we are going to see some absolute crazy stuff over the weekend. I know you love the place. What are your thoughts from Anwa, drive, chip, and putt all the way through round one?
Well, I mean, you can't have more an exciting week leading up to it. I mean, this is golf season launch, right? I mean, with the Anwa, with drive, chip, and putt, which displayed beautifully there. I mean, some exciting stuff from all the kids that participated. The Anwa giving us some, great drama down the stretch.
With the junior golfer, by the way, not a college golfer.
Exactly, junior golfer. And I actually thought she was going to pull it off for sure. I was a little sad for her, but hey, that's learning.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we talk. Interesting. Miles Russell was supposed to be on her bag this week, and then he got a call from the Korn Ferry Tour and he had to drop. Speaking of drops, and this goes into what certainly the Junior Golf Hub and the entire process of PDI going to speak. Her decision after hitting it out of the bunker into the water to go back in the bunker. What was your initial reaction when you saw? Because obviously she could have taken it the other direction. What was your reaction when you saw she was going to go back in the bunker?
At first it was definitely questioning, and then I actually thought, wow, this is awesome. She's challenging herself. She knows she has the shot. It almost reminded me of what coming down the stretch of what was the movie? They kept hitting it in the water. 10 Cup, right? And I'm kind of going, she's going to pull this off. She wants to pull it off, and I don't question the decision because honestly, it wasn't that hard of a shot.
Yeah.
The greens are obviously difficult and firm and fast.
Yeah.
But I love the challenge. I love the fact that she challenged herself to hit that shot.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks again to junior golf in the Masters field. Mason Howe, who of course 2 years ago was at Kashada, Roger, and now he's in the Masters. I mean, it's interesting to watch our family of junior golfers, the alumni that he too is a junior golfer, still in high school, that's playing in the Masters. And I thought he fared pretty well. I mean, there was obviously, especially out of the gate, nerves. He was 4 over very quickly and then played pretty consistent. Our guest today as an amateur made the cut at the Masters. Neal Shipley, really look forward to today's guest, his journey from my neighboring town in Pittsburgh to James Madison to Ohio State to second in the U.S. Am out of nowhere, kind of becoming a phenomenon with the long hair and the crazy look. He's got some kind of journey.
Yeah, he does, and I'm super excited to listen to it. I think our audience is going to love it. The epitome of a late bloomer.
Yeah.
But I'll let him talk more about that. I mean, to me, it can't be a better story, right? I mean, so I'm looking forward to it for sure. I think the audience is going to love it and hear that there's many ways to get there. The journey is never linear, and everybody's path is slightly different. So really excited. And talking about the Masters last night, I was watching a little bit, and to your point of the golf course being dry, how many years have we actually seen going into the week of the Masters? All the rain, all the, being soft and questioning whether, everyone's going to shoot lights out, that kind of thing. I think this is how it was intended to play for the most part. Obviously, they control, they almost control the weather there.
They almost do, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of fun to see what's happening, but the frustration of the best players in the world, it almost reminded me of the U.S. Open. Yesterday with some of the guys hitting shots in and not necessarily getting the same check that they're used to there, especially around round one, round two. Usually later in the week, it kind of, firms up and speeds up, but it's out the gate, pretty difficult for sure.
And super impressive what McIlroy did.
Oh,
There was a lot of conversation leading into the week that this had been, keeping him up at night for so many years. Now that he won it, if it freed him up, look out. Could he just make a run at the Masters where he ultimately ends up with 3 or 4? And we're not getting there yet, but certainly his best ever, what he did yesterday, it's going to be, let's put it this way. There's hardly any way he's not part of the story on Sunday, and that's going to be wild.
We hope so. I mean,
Yeah.
I certainly hope so. I mean, listen, he's got every shot in the bag. He exploits his length, and as he should. And so really excited about what's going to happen with that for sure. How about Patrick Reed jumping over and making an impact?
Patrick Reed making an impact. He's always played well there, obviously a past champion. It was about as bad of a day for Liv as you could have. I mean, it was pretty awful, their entire roster. And I was thinking, well, when I first thought that went through my mind, I'm like, well, at least they have Patrick Reed. He's playing really well. And then it was actually with Noda. Noda was like, he's not on Liv anymore. He's back on the tour. And I'm like, oh, you're right. So they did nothing. And listen, I don't think, the narrative will be, this is what you get. You're not major ready. Listen, it's golf. It's all of them played bad. We'll see what happens today, but it was not a good, for the people that love to talk the other way. They've got some talking points now, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, well, listen, you can say the same thing. Listen, Robert McIntyre, right? He's a good example in the last group. I mean, 8 over, a couple bad holes, but still a tough day for a guy who finished, second last week, in contention all week. It was some high scores. Listen, if you get it on the wrong side, I mean, it's not coming back.
On the back 9, there's the risk reward holes that I think that there was like 7, 8 yesterday. I mean, you go there thinking I can make eagle and completely put myself in this mix. And if you don't pull it off, Fred Couples was actually in the mix and made a 9.
Yeah.
I mean,
so boy, did that derail him? 9, 7, 6.
Yeah. Well, a 9's always going to derail you.
Yeah. I was shocked that he had that stretch of the 3 holes where it just like, okay, who's playing? Is Caddy or is Fred Couples playing?
I know, because he was going along so beautifully.
Yeah.
Let's get in a little bit as we wait for Neal. Let's get in a little bit of for so many in our country, so many of our states. You and I've talked about this the last couple of weeks. And by the way, to all the viewers of the JC Deacon interview, keep tuning in. Obviously, he was a great get, and I saw some of the promo numbers were in the triple digits. So it was great to have JC Deacon on. And with that, we do welcome the 85th ranked player in the world from my hometown of Pittsburgh, PA. Got the draft coming up, Neal. So I don't know if you'll be back in town, but Mount Lebanon, Pittsburgh Central Catholic to James Madison to Ohio State to second in the USAM to now on the PGA Tour, 85th in the world. That is some kind of resume for how far you've come in such a short time. Welcome to the show, Neal. And why don't we just start off as we're in a little Masters talk. Of course, finishing second in the USAM, you get to play the Masters and you make the cut your first trek around there. Kind of walk us through, for a first timer, just how difficult it is and what was the most surprising thing to you about Augusta National?
Yeah, with Augusta, it's really difficult being there your first couple times playing. Luckily, I took advantage of being able to go to Augusta before the tournament. They allow us 5 trips, so I got to know the golf course really well. But even taking those trips, it's soft, it's slower when you go there. It's, not soft and slow, it's in great condition, but you go for the tournament and it's like you see out there right now. It's firm, it's fast. They can turn a switch out there. So I think adjusting to those conditions, because normally in college golf, you don't get that where it, the course flips a switch and all of a sudden it's a foot faster and concrete. So I think that adjustment was really tough. I think learning to play when you're like just randomly getting nervous because you just like well, you could be in the flow of the tournament, and then you get over a shot that you've been thinking about for a couple days, and then you're like you kind of get a little you can kind of get those nerves going. And playing in front of that many people is really different too. So there's just a lot of things that for a first timer and for an amateur in particular, it's just really difficult to play well. I think too, a lot of the things you hear about like your typical golf course strategy at Augusta, you kind of have to throw them out the window a little bit because just how complicated those greens are. And I think, the golf course strategy certainly changes a lot just because Augusta's so dialed in for tournament play, and they're not going to let you take your typical, like, just bomb it and, try and find it and hit it again approach.
Neal, what was and by the way, congrats on all the success you've had so far. Obviously, we anticipate a lot more success coming. But so what did you take away from that week? What was the biggest learning thing that you took away to start your professional career, if you will?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I took away that I could play with those guys, that like those guys are pretty like they're not superhuman. That's my first time playing in a event, like in a tour event like that. So I didn't really know like what to expect. Like, are these guys gonna be like crazy good? Like just way better than that guy could think of. And like I got there and I'm walking down the range and it's everyone hits it pretty good, but you walk down that range and you hear the occasional kind of like, oh, that wasn't centered or that was kind of a little clanky.
Yeah.
So I think it's very you kind of realize that like everyone hits some bad golf shots. They do a really good job of managing their bad golf shots. And just I realized that like I can hit every shot that they can hit. There's no shot they can hit that I can't hit, especially at the level I was at there, being a high level college player. You can hit all the shots as a high level college player. It's a lot more to do with being comfortable scoring and managing your game. I think is the big difference between some of those guys on tour and and the top end college players.
And certainly we've seen this is the absolute golden year of the golden age, I should say, of college golf, and PGA Tour U has had a ton to do with it. We're seeing just massive success from college golfers while in college on the PGA Tour, and then obviously PGA Tour U has been a Grand Slam home run. I want to get into the journey though. Growing up in the Snow Belt in Pittsburgh, give us a little bit of your childhood, where golf was on the spectrum, when you became full-time golf. Did you always know you wanted to play on tour? Take us back to a young Neal Shipley.
Yeah, I think I've always had that dream of playing on tour since I was young. There's stories that people will tell me now that like, yeah, when you were in third grade, you'd say it. And I don't know how serious I was about it when I said those things, but I think it was kind of always there. But when I was in high school, or as in high school, I played other sports, but especially middle school, elementary school, I played lots of basketball, played lots of baseball. Baseball was probably one of my best sports. I actually was a really good pitcher, and joke around after seeing some of the contracts these guys signed in the LBs. Like I probably should have stuck with that. But
although it's a lockout year, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's been like I played baseball all the way through high school. So I didn't really specialize until college. Yeah, I didn't specialize per se until college because I still played really baseball my senior year. No, I wasn't really serious about baseball, but it was just kind of something I did in the spring. Especially my senior year is just more for fun thing. But yeah, I think and I think too, a lot of the things I learned in baseball, like teamwork and having teammates, really helped me out in college golf. There's no I in team, and I think that's sometimes hard for a lot of kids at the elite level. When you get to college golf, it can be difficult for some kids that kind of had that one track mind. When you get into college and you gotta go do stuff with your team, it can be I think it helped me out a lot and avoided a lot of frustration because I kind of had that came from a background where I was playing with the team all the time.
Neal, talking about that, you grew up in Pittsburgh, obviously, as you know, it's a snow belt kind of area, and you played baseball and you played other sports, and you got good enough to did you get recruited to JMU? What did you do? It's like, tell the audience a little bit about how'd you do it, because we have a vast majority of our audience that's in the Northeast or in the snow belt area. So what'd you do to do that? How'd you do it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Roger, you're on a roll.
Yeah, this is I mean, 2 for 2 already.
Feel good
I
about
think
myself.
it's really important to I think I carried a chip on my shoulder because as a Northeast kid, I'd go to these tournaments for these in the springtime. If I went and go play a tournament or something, I'd go and I'd see all these kids from Florida or North Carolina or South Carolina, and they'd be pretty much already playing for 3 or 4 months because they didn't really stop, and I'd be hitting balls into a screen. Or back home in Pittsburgh, we had the Neville Island bubble, so it's pretty much a big soccer bubble that you could hit about 100 yards, see 100 yards of ball flight, which is awesome. I was there all the time in high school. Once I could start driving myself, I'd go there after school like every day. But it was, I think, I was lucky I had parents that invested in me and gave me let me like go to the range and buy balls in the wintertime. And I just kind of found ways to, do things in my basement on the carpet for putting. And a lot of the work you do in the wintertime, it's fundamental. You're maybe making some changes to your swing. And I kind of used that time as a time to like, let's make our big changes and do the things I want to do in the wintertime. And, when we hit summer golf, we're going to be off and running, and we're going to run with those changes. We made the occasional trip down south, maybe once or twice. I had a swing coach down here in Florida. And so I'd go see him, but yeah, it was like it's grindy. You just got to find ways to, get an edge, find ways to stay sharp, and you don't have to necessarily go out and play golf all the time. Like at James Madison, we got a couple winners where January and February were pretty brutal, and like we didn't get to play golf, and we didn't have like the money like Ohio State to go do these travel trips, so we'd be in our facility, which we're pretty much hitting into a screen. We had a nice big putting green, and we'd find ways to be really competitive with our teammates there. And, every once in a while too, we'd find ways to drive down south. Like one of my teammates is from Charlotte. We'd find a way to drive down to Charlotte for a long weekend and get a couple, get some holes in there. I think it's, you really, there's this aspect of, if you want it, you're going to find a way. And I think I want to, just encourage those kids that are in the Northeast and those parents, like, be creative with how you kind of do things in the wintertime. And even you don't have to fly down to Florida where it's really expensive to get a hotel down here or something. There's plenty of places in Georgia, North Carolina, and South Carolina that aren't as popular, where you'd be able to fly down, get a cheaper hotel, and go play a couple public tracks for the weekend and get some reps outside, and for fraction of the cost of coming down to Palm Beach.
The story I get a lot from junior golf parents from the Northeast, and it's similar to what you said about going to the Masters, Neal, is we get in an AJGA, we get in an MB3. It's a qualify, in the AJGA, it's you're only, it's the whole star system, so you got to make your most of it. MB3, it's 36 holes. You either get to the championship or you don't. And the nerves that these kids have, because they do in their minds view it as make or break. This is my chance. My college golf, my pro golf, everything is based on this 14-year-old and is getting his crack at an AJGA because he was able to travel, had enough stars, or get a crack at an MB3 regional where you're 36 holes away from playing on Golf Channel. And what I get is, we just couldn't handle the nerves of it. When was the first time from Pittsburgh you traveled as a junior golfer? And probably similar to that Masters story where you're walking on the range saying to yourself, can I play with these guys?
Yeah, I think we played an AJGA. Is my first AJGA in like
South Point.
No, they didn't have the South Point one then.
That's a beast.
That golf course is awesome. I know my buddy Nate and Rod Pyatt, own part of the club, and I go out there all the time. It's a great test. Like, I go out there and play
It is
'cause
a
it's such a
test.
good test. You got to hit the driver so good out there. But no, when I'm let me think. Like we were in oh my gosh, is in Tennessee. Um, is this crummy little town.
I know
it was no.
Nashville?
I know, nope, it's south of that. Chattanooga, maybe?
No. It was
No?
outside of Knoxville. It's like
Okay.
it's a town that's like a nuclear town. They just
Okay.
use nuclear labs there. I forget what the heck it's called. It's got some really generic name
But that was your
because it was
start.
that was my first start. And I mean I definitely I I
How
felt a little
old, how
uncomfortable
old
because
were you?
oh gosh, I was probably like 13 or 14.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
freshman in high school, whatever a
Yeah.
freshman in high school would be. Actually, I take that back. My first AJGA was across in Pennsylvania, and I played terrible in that one.
Yeah.
And I went down to this one in Tennessee, didn't play great there either. Like I wasn't a very good junior golfer.
Yeah.
I think that I think what I did really well over time was I learned how to put myself in contention. So whether it was at every level, I kind of did this. Where in Western Pennsylvania, the West Penn Junior, I won that my senior year of high school. But I kind of put myself in contention around that Western PA Pennsylvania golf bubble, and got myself in contention and learned how to play with nerves. And then by the time I got to amateur golf, then I played, the West Penn AM. I actually didn't win that one. It was like the PA AM is the one I won. But I got into contention in that one. Is at Marion, and crumbled a little bit. And then the next year is at Lanark Country Club in Philly, and ended up playing great there. Played clutch down the stretch. Played really good under pressure, and won that one. Won
So
the
you
West
got
Penn Open.
recruited more for not the traditional path in junior golf. You got recruited because you were playing well in these state amps.
Yeah, I would play a lot. I played a lot of the state AMs in the state. I played all the West Penn AM, West Penn Junior, West
That
Penn
is not the
Open.
normal path, is it, Roger?
No, it's not.
No,
I mean, it's not.
But you
yeah, I
obviously
mean,
got JMU's attention from those events.
yeah, I think I did a lot. A lot of colleges aren't looking there. Like I played my AJGAs. I played a lot of at the time is IJGT.
Yep.
I don't
Mhm.
know if they're still around, but I played a ton of those, and I had played well in some of those. And like in the junior golf, where I went, I kind of like went up the levels and played. I didn't
Yeah.
like jump straight to the AJGA and
Right.
just start playing great there. I honestly never played great there.
Yeah.
But like I won a couple IJGTs. I was on like their Team USA for
Yeah.
their when we played against Canada. And
Are they still around,
crushed 'em.
Roger?
They are not around. They
Yeah, they're
actually
not
they
around.
are on their own property down in.
It's strictly an academy now.
Yeah,
got
it's
it.
their
Yeah, okay.
academy. Yeah, yeah. So they're in tons of tournaments up and down the East Coast.
Yeah,
So
they're done.
we played a ton of those, and I think I got recruited a little bit from them. But whatever the day is now, I don't know if it's June 1st for
June
me. Is
15th,
like
yeah.
So
15.
it was like September 1st for me,
Yeah.
and I got two emails, and one was JMU, and one was like the 270th ranked school in
Right.
college golf. So I wasn't highly recruited, and I did a good job of like once I got recruited, like once I got past that date, like I was sending coaches my resume, and they're not looking at West Penn Open or West Penn Am stuff, but I'm playing
Yeah.
against college kids and
Yeah.
kind of keeping up with them. And so I think that helped me out a lot. And I wouldn't sleep on your state AMs and state opens,
Yeah.
especially as a junior golfer. Go play in that because if you're going and beating up in the guys in the state open, then you're good enough to play college golf. Like it's and colleges know that. Like look, the Oklahoma States of the world, they might be looking at the AJGA All Americans, but if you're looking at a school that's ranked 50th or like 50th and up, like they got tons of room in the roster for kids that go out and finish second in the state open.
No doubt. So going through this process, what did you find was like the biggest thing that held you back? Obviously, you flipped the switch. You started playing well. You figured something out on the golf course. Was there anything else to that? I mean, in our world, we talk about our 5 elements. We talk about the player's desire to get better. Physically, function dictates form. Mentally, having that and having the right equipment, and obviously having good coaching and understanding analysis and data, right? When did it flip for you that said, hey, I can actually be good at this, and what am I good at, and what do I need to really work on?
Yeah, I think one of my strengths was I always thought I was really good. Like I always, I think that's something that, I was always like, hey, I could go out and beat anyone, which, I think is still true today. And, but I look back at my swings from high school and I'm like, oh my God, like what in the world was I doing? And I think, with the help of, I had the mentality of like, man, I can go and beat anyone, but I definitely still wanted to try and improve and knew I could. And so like I leaned on some like coaching. So when I went to James Madison after my first semester, my first semester, if you found scores of mine, I might have shot like 68, 82, 71. Like as an all-world 5-man in college golf. Like it was, I was thrown in 2 low scores. Coach loved me. I'd be the toss for one of the rounds, but it wouldn't really matter because you only count 4 or 5. And I went to coach and I was like, coach, like, like I obviously like we know I can put up some good numbers, but like what's holding me back, like from what you're seeing? And he's just like, look, your ball striking is kind of, he didn't say it this way, but it's kind of trash. Like it's kind of bad. Like you need to improve.
Ryan,
And
you've heard
so
that.
Oh, yes.
so I spent a lot of time. It's like looking at my swing and being like, all right, how do we improve? Talking with my swing coach and trying to find ways where we can be more consistent. Because I think at that time, even then, as a freshman in college, like I could hit tons of shots and I could move the ball both ways and I could, do a bunch of fun things, but the consistency level of it was not very good. So how do I get more consistent with that? That was a big deal.
How big of a jump is it from JMU to Ohio State in the Big Ten? It's another northern school, but you're now in one of the Power Four conferences. Obviously, Jack Nicklaus went there, so it can't, it has great tradition in history. At Ohio State, your schedule is going to probably look a little bit different than it was at JMU. How big of a jump or not a jump was it?
It's funny. I think the rankings are so skewed because you would think, oh, JMU versus Ohio State, like the players at Ohio State must be way better. The ranking of the tournaments is way better. Like the top 2 or 3 guys at every mid-major, probably from like 130th in the rankings and up, are just as good as, those guys that are playing 1 through 5 at Ohio State or any school, really. It's just like, hey, like when you're a JMU, your 4 or 5 guy are a little bit more of a liability, and your 3 guy might not play great every week. So you're playing mid-major tournaments, you're not getting very good ranking points at all,
Right.
but you're still playing against 20 or 25 studs. And so like the competition, it's certainly deeper at Ohio State or at that top level. And, certainly when you get to the top 20 teams in the school, like you got some guys that are just like head and shoulders above everyone. But, like for the most part, it's just golf. Like it's kind of the same, as it was, but it's just, you got more good players, is the difference. It's not like, but that jump is like, oh my God, everyone's so much better. They're 3 shots better than me around. It's more just like, man, there's instead of 20 guys here that can win, there's 45 guys that can go out and win.
You mentioned something there about rankings, and I'm going to bring it back to the junior golf a little bit because this is a hot topic, and Ryan and I hear this all the time. But from a junior golf rankings, how often did you look at the rankings and go, "Oh my God, my ranking sucks," or I'm not going to get recruited because my rankings? Did you even pay attention to that, or did you just have the mindset that you're going to go out there and just play golf and beat everybody that you can beat and see what happens? How did that fit in? Because we've got kids and parents now playing the game of, if I'm not playing well, I'm not going to play in this event, or if I'm playing in that event, I'm going to withdraw because I don't want my rankings to drop. Was that a thing for you?
We never played the rankings like that. It was like I've tried and find the best schedule I could play and went and played it. Like I think the type of stuff, like coaches could probably see like if you withdrew from a tournament or not, and like kind of what yours, like, they'll ask you, hey, why'd you withdraw? And like a good coach who's doing his homework, and like if you're kind of like, oh yeah, wasn't playing very good, so we withdrew. But like in your college, you don't get the opportunity to withdraw from a tournament just because you're not playing great that week. If you're on the squad, and you get there, if you're a practicer and you play that crap, you can't just WD. And that's kind of a soft mentality. I would encourage like parents, just like play the best schedule you can get, and encourage your kids, like, try and learn how to play and score when you don't have your best stuff. That's really important, to learn how to play when you don't have your best stuff. Sorry, I got that machine in the back going on. Is that you guys can hear that?
Can't hear it at all. We're good.
Okay, lovely. My coffee machine's freaking out, so
That's good. You need that cup of Joe.
yeah, I know. I'm like looking at, it's actually I gotta, now that we have an interruption, I'm gonna go grab it.
Yeah, absolutely. Roger, I mean, I find this, Neal is everything that we talk about that kind of no junior golfer or junior golf parent believes, which is none of it really matters. None of it really matters. Those Pennsylvania AM events don't even get ranking points.
Right.
Like, they're not even viewed by the whole system that junior golf is built on, that kids are living and dying at 9 years old.
That's something that frustrated me as a junior golfer, because I'd play okay. Like, I think when I finished when I committed, I was maybe something like 300 or 400th of my recruiting class. Somebody tweeted the actual figure during the Masters. I can't remember what it is, but it's really high. And like, you look at that and you're like, oh, like, JMU kind of took a chance on this kid. But you look at that number and it doesn't like equate in the fact that I think I had like a really good finish in my state amateur. I had a really good finish in the West Penn Open. And when Coach Forbes at James Madison, he was the head coach for my freshman year, before he retired. He came and recruited me when we played the West Penn Open at Oakmont, and he watched me shoot 69 at Oakmont.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, at least in Pennsylvania, and I think a lot of Northeast states, I can speak for, when you go play your state open or your state amateur, or even like your Western Pennsylvania or your Philly, your Gap events, like, you're playing some elite golf courses that are tough, that might be tougher than courses you play in college. It's like, it's great experience to go out and play championship level courses, every event against the best, not just kids, like players in your area. I think that experience is invaluable. And I think you can email coaches and showcase, like, hey coach, I finished second in the state amateur, and
it's full of college kids, probably.
I just smashed. You'll play against kids that are in college. If you play the West Penn Am, you'll play kids that play at Penn State. You kick their butt, and you go email Penn State's coach, be like, hey, I just kicked your four-man's butt over there at the West Penn Am. Like, give me a scholarship.
How'd you do in the U.S. Junior, Neal?
I never played a U.S. Junior.
Never played a U.S. Junior.
Never played a U.S. Junior. I played 2 U.S. amateurs.
You did okay there.
The one at Oakmont.
You did okay there.
Yeah, one of them I did great. It's like, I think like, you look at, it's like, my development arc is really interesting, because it's like, not very good in high school, not very good junior. I get to James Madison, I just get a little better. I get to Ohio State, I get better, and you look at my summers, and like the summer before the U.S. Amateur, I played all of like my state am stuff, a couple of the Elite Amateur Series things, and I had I finished. I won this West Penn Open. I won the state amateur, and I went to the Western Am, and I made the cut there.
Oh, good.
And I think what's funny too is, like, I went to the UK to try and qualify for the amateur, and one day qualifier, I missed it, and I flew back over, and I played the West Penn Open like the day after I flew back, and I ended up winning that one. It's like, golf's funny. And then the next summer happens, and I played okay at Ohio State. I didn't win, but then I finished second in a bunch of stuff in the summer in the Lead Am series and the Lead Am circuit. And all of a sudden, I've got all the confidence in playing great, and have a great week at the USAM. It's like, golf's funny. I think I did a great job of just playing the best turns I could get into, and continually trying to improve and develop, and being comfortable winning at the West Penn Open and the State Am, that prepared me then that next summer go out and be comfortable playing in the Sunny Hannah and finishing second, or going to the Dogwood Invitational, or the Southern Am. Like I played all these Trans Mississippi Am. Like I played great in all those tournaments under a lot of pressure. And by the time I got to halfway through the summer and was in second place, I really didn't even feel that nervous because I had gotten so used to being under that type of, like, in that environment and in that situation. You kind of get used to pressure and you get used to those feelings when you're playing big tournaments. So, like, circling back to something you said, is like, hey guys, like my kids, like they struggle with the, in that environment. It's like, let's keep putting them in that environment. And, it's like chipping at a rock. Like you're going to figure out a way to, the rock doesn't get bigger. You don't know if it's going to take 50 swings or 2 swings to crack the rock in half. If you just keep chipping away at it, like eventually that rock's going to give way. And I think just keep putting yourself in positions and keep playing good tournaments and just play a lot. And you're going to get a lot better just by doing that.
Yeah, Neal, something that resonates with me as you're just talking, and we have a junior golf academy in Connecticut and Florida, and our philosophy is really around, like I said, the 5 elements, but it's more about developing the whole person, developing the skills, the lead factors, and what you were just saying is all resonates with kind of philosophically with, you just kept working on the lead factors, getting your skills better, working on understanding your game, understanding what you needed to do to keep going out and putting yourself in position to learn and to get better. And I think that's such a an attribute, right, to growth mindset that allows you to have that success. And one of the things we created was our player development index, and we measure skills. And being in the Northeast, and we're, obviously having limited time to play during the winter times, in my mind, is absolutely perfect, because you can really focus on working on academics. You can focus on working on skills, taking your information and then being accountable for those skills. Like if you're working on something, is it actually getting better, and assessing that, on a regular basis. And, and then obviously interjecting the play. You got to play, you got to take it and transfer that onto the golf course, transfer that into, pressure situations, transfer that into the losses and the wins, right? I mean, you got to have all of those pieces. And it sounds like you, by happenstance, figured it out for yourself that, hey, if I just keep working on my skills to get better and putting myself in position, I can get better, not only at playing golf, but then playing tournament golf, and then playing under pressure, and then playing it. So it's not luck, right? It's, you actually did this with some purpose, right? And we can look back and go, well, it was just my journey. Yeah, it is, but you also kind of knew what your journey was going to look like, because you knew that in high school you weren't putting in the time to actually get better. So be very interesting, Ryan, if I can take Neal through the PDI and see where his skills are.
Yeah,
that's a challenge, Neal.
I think it's interesting too, what you mentioned of like putting in the time and the work. Like I certainly, like in high school, I certainly put in a lot of work, but I don't know if it wasn't necessarily the right type of work. And I think when I got better, I started working on the right things in the right way. And even now, working with the new coach and like just kind of changing the way that I practice a little bit has helped a lot with just some of the results I'm seeing on the golf course, and just creating like that in tournament type of environment while I'm practicing. But like you look at my time at James Madison, I started working on the right things, and I was always a really hard worker. So you could ask any of my coaches at JMU. I was a freaking grinder. I was in our indoor facility, on Friday nights and Saturday mornings, and we had a really nice short game area out there, and I probably tore that thing up more than most people, and put footprints in the greens, and like I was a grinder, and I think there's no replacement for hard work. And I'm going to take a guess at this. You called them lead factors.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a guess that you call them lead factors because results are often trailing, and it's a trailing, like your results and how you play. It's then, you might be getting better and working really hard on them, but and the results are going to follow in 3 or 4 months. It's not always instantaneous. And I think that's one of the reasons I love golf, is because of that. It's like you see after like years and months, like, oh my gosh, my swing is so much better, or I'm so much better at this. Um, and it's like a lot of delayed gratification, which I know a lot of kids and even myself, like we all want this instant gratification.
Yeah.
It's, that you can get, you go on Amazon and buy something in a second and I could go on it right now and have it at my door tomorrow morning. Like it's like, but in golf, you got to be, patience. You have to have patience
Yeah.
with your
There you go.
results and just trust a process and, um, trust that when you know that you're working on the right things, when you're putting in the time, the results will follow. You just got to, have the patience to stick with, that process.
Last thing for me, Neal, and to your point, when Rose Zhang went through the PDI, she was already so much better than everyone else in college golf. But when she went through it, the numbers told her what areas were still, everything's not always great. There's always things that can be improved. So we're definitely going to put you through the PDI steps, find out if what you think you have to work on is what the numbers say. If I gave you one thing that you could improve right now for the rest of the PGA Tour season, is there one area that you're consciously trying to improve every day, thinking I got to get better, one little step better there?
Two things for sure. Putting from like 6 feet and out, like 6 to 24 feet, not making enough of those putts. A lot of it having to do with green reading. I've been working on that, and I think we're making some really good progress. And then like approach play from 100 to 150, 175. Those are two areas of my game, like last year on Corn Ferry Tour, that were really strong, especially when I was playing well. And I just haven't really been there. Haven't really come along for the ride early in the year. So we've been working on trying to get those back to where they need to be and where I know they can be. So that's if I could be, obviously, like you look at most of the top players in the world, they are just rock solid with their irons. And I've always called myself a really good iron player, and need to get back to that. So we're working on that. But I'll tell you, one place I don't need to work on is my driver. I drive it freaking awesome.
That's awesome.
So I am gonna keep doing that.
Yes.
And like I think it's to put into context for some of your listeners too. When I say I drive it awesome, I hit maybe 3 or 4% more fairways than the average tour player, and I am a little bit longer than average. So like when you're just those two things, I think might be close to 25th in driving this year, or
That's a great
maybe
number,
top 20. And it's not, the margins are razor thin up there. And even the difference between college and a great tour player, it's very small margins that we're looking at, and it's because margins are so small, you got to turn over every stone and have a really detailed eye when you're looking at things.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Who's winning the Masters?
Well, let's check the leaderboard so I can have an up-to-date picture of this.
That's right.
And by the way, who's better, you or John Vandelon?
Well, John's been kicking my ass this year, so I can't say anything about that. His wife is such a sweetheart too. I love Hannah. She's great. Just good people. The only thing is I wish he'd move over to this side of the state. He's over in Naples, and there's no tour golfers over there. I want to come take his money on a Tuesday during an off week.
Exactly.
Let's see. So we have,
pretty chalky.
It's a great leaderboard. It's like you said, it's chalk, but it's like just phenomenal. Someone that I don't think I watched some coverage and some like post coverage stuff yesterday on ESPN. Not a single person, not one, has mentioned Jason Day's name.
Nope.
Which I think is very interesting because it's going to be firm and not that windy. He can hit the ball and he can hit it into the stratosphere.
Yeah.
And he hits it more than long enough. He would be.
Does he still live in Columbus?
Yeah, he still lives in Columbus.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's pretty wild. He spends a lot of time in like Palm Desert in the early in the winter, and then but no, I think like as of right now, he'll go back up there and grind it out during the wintertime. Oh, it's crazy. he's got a compound. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he's.
If I had that situation in Pittsburgh, I would probably stay there too. So
yeah, right.
Well, we'll get that done.
We'll
get that done. Well, listen, man, we've had you for a while. You've been amazing, and we want to keep in touch with you for sure, and continue to watch your progress and put you through PDI. But I mean, your story, especially for our audience, we're really the main podcast for junior golf, and what you did and the way you did it, it just bucks every trend that a lot of kids believe you have to do. And here you are on the PGA Tour, just absolutely kicking ass. So great to meet you. You're an absolute a legend, and I think a lot of kids are going to get inspiration from you. So thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. And I think like you mentioned, like, you don't have to do things the normal way to be a great golfer, be a great junior golfer, or pan out in college. And I think every journey is going to look a lot different, especially like not every tour player goes to a top 50 school.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunities. You probably know the numbers, right around 300 Division I men's programs. There's a lot of opportunity out there for you to play college golf and get better. Tons of Division II guys, like you mentioned, John Vanderlyn. He's on the PGA Tour. He didn't even play Division I, I think, right? He's at North Florida.
That's right.
Where was he?
Division II.
And even Chandler Blanchet, I think he got his card. He was another D2 guy. Yeah,
look at the leaderboard. I mean, you got Rose, Reed, McElroy. Those guys didn't even go to college.
Right?
Yeah, they did. Well, they were pretty good when they were 12
years
old.
They're from another.
But you look at look at Gary Woodland went to Kansas.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's actually a basketball player too.
Right.
And he's been killing it.
I love Gary.
There's a lot of guys out there that they weren't studs when they were 15 years old. And I'll be honest, I'm glad I didn't peak at 15.
Yeah. Right.
You're looking to peak I'm looking to peak when I'm 30, 35, 40. That's the goal.
Right.
So
all right. Thanks so much, Neal. We'll be in touch, though.
Thank you, guys.
Neal. Thanks so much.
Yeah, take care. Thanks for the time.
You got it, man. Wow, what a story, Roger. I mean, you talk about an inspiration for our audience. It does not get better than that. This has to be our most viewed podcast. I mean, what he has done is, and that story, if that doesn't have every kid in junior golf hyped, you're playing the wrong sport.
Playing the wrong sport, and looking at life maybe a little bit too shallow. Look at
which is so easy to fall into that trap.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, as he said, we've talked about it, and everybody talks about it. Instant gratification, gets us caught up in this idea that if I just do this one thing, I get what I want. Versus actually, it's multiple things that go into getting that one thing, and just be patient with it. I think he said that multiple times, be patient, right? So
I can't wait to see his PDI score. That will be he'll probably challenge for one of the best ever, just where his game is right now. But it will be interesting to see what that number looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
So right in our neck of the woods, we'll be able to get that done. Thank you to Neal. Certainly thank you to our producer director, Michael Nick, as always, to Roger for so much time today. Went obviously over, but I think it deserved it as he was a wonderful guest. So for Roger, Nick, Mike, until next time, so long from the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast.